Hey guys, and welcome back. First off, I do want to say sorry I went a little bit MIA this week. Oh, this was a week. We had a few little hiccups across the road. We actually ended up getting stuck out of town. Our motorcycle that we went to LA on ended up having the clutch cable snapping while we were on the freeway trying to come home in rush hour traffic, and there was no side road by the carpool lane. We had to go across 4 lanes to get to the side with a snapped clutch cable. That, oh my gosh. And we then had to, of course, stay out there longer. We didn't have extra clothes. I mean, it was just, it was so bad. Luckily, we made it home safely though. We ended up getting the motorcycle fixed. We came back home. So yeah, that's why I went a little bit MIA. Oh, and I did get my hair done. I'm no longer blonde. It's a little bit darker than what I initially wanted, but my hairstylist said because of all the bleach blonde in my hair, some of the color was gonna fade, so she made it darker to prepare for that. So after a few washes, it's gonna get a little bit lighter. Definitely different from what I've had. I've been bleach blonde for almost 8 years now, so it's been a while. But yeah, that's a little mini life update right now. Let's roll into today's topic, which is the foundation video of the week. The foundation I have is the PUR 4-in-1 Love Your Selfie Longwear Foundation and Concealer. It retails for $36, and let's just open this baby up. Here's what the actual bottle looks like, and you just pop that off. Ooh, that was a little tough. And you have a pump. You get 1 fluid ounce, and I'm just so curious because I saw the pictures online where if you unscrew it, the little tube, oh yeah, is a doe foot applicator. That's how you're supposed to get it right up underneath the eyes and use it as a concealer. That is so interesting to me. Wow, okay, we are gonna be using this as foundation and concealer today. Now what's kind of crazy about this foundation is that it comes in 100 different shades. Oh my gosh, when they announced that, I was like, what? That's a lot of shades. I mean, way to go, PUR, way to go. But it is a little bit intimidating, especially buying foundations online. I was very confused. I started looking in the fair to light section, and then I used their shade matcher that they had on their website. You type in a foundation that you think is your perfect match, and it will tell you which one is the most similar. The one that I actually got matched with was MN2, which is medium neutral 2. I was not expecting to be a medium shade. I don't know if this is gonna be 100% correct. Maybe I used the wrong foundations to match me, but I was looking in the wrong section then, so it is a little bit interesting definitely ordering online. Oh no, that looks pretty good, yeah. Here's what a swatch of MN2 looks like. Just gonna plop a little bit here, see how it looks. Okay, yeah, I think that's pretty good. One thing is for sure, you're gonna find your perfect shade match with this 100 shade range. I mean, it's insane how many options you have. The only thing I wish would happen is that they are gonna be more accessible. They're only putting 22 of these foundations inside of Ulta, which is a huge decrease from the 100 shades, and makes it a little bit less likely for someone to find their shades, because I think most of us like to go into the store, swatch it in person, see the undertone, see the color, match it with ourselves. I mean, you like to see it physically in person and just be like, okay, yeah, that is my perfect shade. So I really hope that they are able to put more shades into stores. I know they're also only gonna be able to put 50 of the shades on Ulta's website, so if you want the full 100, you do have to go to PUR's website. On their launch day, I did order off of their website, and I did check, it's still on their website. You can use a coupon code BRUSH when you purchase any of the foundation shades. You do get this free little guy, the Bee Holder Dual Action Complexion Applicator. It was a pretty cool value. It's a $28 brush that I got for free with the purchase, and it's got the craziest little center here. There is a silicone part to the brush where you're supposed to put your foundation in and then use that to stipple it in across the face, and then it'll work in the product. It's a very interesting brush. It says that this is the perfect combo with this little foundation, so we shall find out. I'm gonna be using that brush to apply on one half of the face. I'm gonna be using a sponge on the other half. just to see which method I prefer. Of course, you don't have to have this brush. This is just because, well, I got it for free. But let me just clean this real quick. Never go in on your face with a fresh new brush. Sometimes it can have dust and things from the, packaging, the facility. So I always like to do a little spot cleaning. There we go. So I am ready to start putting on some foundation. I did pre-prime the skin. I will list everything that I used down below. So now let's pump. 2 pumps. Oh shoot, I should have put it in the tip of the brush. I'm gonna scoop a little bit. I forgot. Okay, so putting it in the center here. And now, is that how you're supposed to do it? Just keep going in. Okay, I am figuring it out as I go a little bit here. Such an interesting design to this. Now, some more details about this foundation is that it's supposed to be a long-wearing, skincare-infused foundation and concealer. It's also supposed to be an energy complex that is made of green tea, vitamin B, and ginseng. It's supposed to help fight environmental stressors. And what it was a cool little thing, I'm reading from the website here so I make sure I get everything right. It's also supposed to help fight against damaging effects caused by exposure to daily high energy visible blue light. I have not heard of that before in foundations. And it's a medium to a full coverage, which I definitely feel like it is from this initial application right here. And lastly, it's supposed to be a natural skin-like finish. A lot of good information about this foundation. And I mean, I have to say that applied really easily. I was talking in between and taking little pauses, but that was really quick in the application. Definitely interesting with this brush here. It did take up all the product from the center, and at some points I can kind of feel the silicone on the face, which just feels a little bit strange. But the actual blend is seamless. I did have quite a few blemishes down here too. I mean, you can see the redness difference. Oh my gosh, I didn't zoom in closer. I'm so sorry. There we go. Now you can see a little bit better. So I have a lot of redness right now on the face. My face is kind of breaking out a little bit here and there. I had the same kind of blemishes down here on the chin on this side, and it did help to cover that beautifully. So I think that application is really nice. I'm really enjoying it. I think I'm gonna switch to the other side, use the sponge, and then go underneath the eyes with the doe foot applicator. I did put 2 pumps on the back of my hand here, and I think I used maybe like 1.5 on this side. I might have put a little bit too much, but that's okay. We're finding out together. So I'm just gonna put 1 pump and just use the little excess here. Use my Wet n Wild sponge and pop this on the other side. See if we see a difference, and wow. Those blemishes are being covered. Holy moly. When it says medium to full coverage, I always think, it's gonna start out really medium coverage. You gotta build it up maybe with 2 layers to get it to that full, but I would say this is definitely a full coverage, which I am all about. And I do think that the shade is really good. I was a little bit skeptical since it was the medium, but I think it actually works. Still have a pretty decent amount left, and I mean, that covered everything. Let me just use the last of it anyway. Pop a little bit more here, a little bit more out there, just a little here and there. I'm looking at it closer, and I think both sides look really beautiful. I don't even see a real difference between the coverage either. Usually the brush is a little bit more full, the sponge is a little bit sheer, but I think they're both really full coverage. I only pumped the 1 pump to the back of my hand, used what was left over from the brush side. So didn't even have to use that much product, and I got a really beautiful full coverage look to both sides. So I think you could go either way, brush or sponge. So that's really nice. This side has dried down, and what I really like is that it doesn't feel tacky. I can kind of pat it here and it feels like it's dried down, but not to the point where it's a matte, crusty, cakey looking finish. It does feel very skin-like, which is what I really enjoy. I enjoy the in-between. I don't want to look crusty, overly matte, but I also don't want to look overly dewy, since I do have a very oily skin type, which I haven't mentioned that yet, but that is one of the issues I deal with. So now let's take out the little doe foot applicator. Pull up a little, ooh, that might have been a lot. Make sure you check your doe foot applicator, maybe take some of the product off, because that was quite a bit. put a little dot there. I mean, we have the same kind of coverage all the way throughout the rest of the face, so we don't need any more. It's gonna be the same shade. And I'm just gonna take the sponge and blend that in. And I'm just keeping it right here under the eyes. I'm not gonna bring it onto the lid. I personally never put concealer on the lid as any kind of base just because it doesn't work for me. I always have creasing. The shadow doesn't last on me. I just don't like it. I use a eyeshadow primer, so I'm just keeping it down here. I do think that worked out really nicely, using it as concealer just right up to the under eyes here. I'm not seeing any issues. I mean, normally I go in with a concealer, so it feels a little bit strange, but I kind of like it. Everything is just all in one matching. You get the dual purpose here. Now, the only real thing left to do is to tell you guys the time. It is 7:54 a.m. Got this foundation on real early. I've been sitting here for almost an hour too. That is gonna be the starting time for today's wear test. I'm aiming for at least 8 hours. That's always where I like to have the minimum time. Let's see if we can get it to stay on the face longer than that. But now with all of the foundation and foundation concealer on, the only thing really left to do is apply a little bit of powder, a little bit of bronzer, a little bit of blush, some eye makeup, and then we can do some more testing with this look. So let me do that really quickly and I'll be right back. All right, rest of the makeup is on, and this must be some kind of record. It's 8:22 a.m. right now, so it's only been about half an hour that I used to put the rest of the makeup on. That's a record. Usually takes me a lot longer. The one thing that I do want to show you guys though is the flashback test. So I did pop off camera, take a flash test photo in a darker lit part of the house, and it does look like there is quite a bit of bounce back with this foundation. My face looks a lot wider than the rest of my neck, where in person it doesn't look like that. So just have that in mind if you know you're going to be doing some kind of flash photography, you're going out and about at night. The powder I used on top is the Kylie loose powder, which does not have flashback. I've tested it out before. I did a full video on it, flashback test and all of that. So it's not the powder. That's one of the tests. The other one is the swatch on the back of my hand has now dried down, so let me put a fresh one. It looks like when the foundation does dry down, it gets a little bit darker, so it does oxidize. Lastly, I just have one more thing to show you guys before we jump into the wear portion of this foundation review. I want to give you guys some swatch comparisons. That way you can see how the undertone, the shade, and everything matches to other foundations in my collection. So let me jump to that. I tried to give you guys a wide range of swatches here. This foundation shade right here, I realized, I don't know why I swatched it. It's way too dark for me. I use this more as a mixing one, but hey, it's already here. So the one over here is gonna be the PUR 4-in-1 foundation we're testing out today in MN2. The one right next to it is the Milani Conceal and Perfect Stick Foundation in 200 Porcelain. Right next to that is Physicians Formula LC1, which is pretty similar, I would say, to the PUR. Then the one that is way too dark for me is the L'Oreal Pro Glow in 204. Next to that, we have the Wet n Wild Stick Foundation in Soft Ivory. Next to that one is the IT Cosmetics Confidence in a Foundation in Light Nude 120. And lastly is the Maybelline Superstay Foundation in 110 Porcelain. So hopefully those foundation swatches help you guys out. I try to make sure I get one from different brands that maybe you guys already have and you know, so you can match it up. But that was the last test, so it's now 8:34 a.m. I'm just gonna keep wearing this foundation. I'm thinking I'm gonna do a check-in around lunchtime, see how things are holding up at that point. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. Well, it's that time for the first check-in. It is 12 o'clock now. Hopefully you guys can see that. 12:01. It's been 4 hours with this foundation on, and if you get really up close and personal, I mean, the foundation is holding up really nicely aside from the oils, because I am quite shiny at this point. I did look at myself in the beauty room lights, and the shine really doesn't show up, so I'm so happy I do these check-ins in different lightings, because natural lighting is so different than studio lighting, and you're only gonna be in front of natural lighting. You're never gonna sit in front of the beauty lights. So this is realistically how you would look 4 hours in if you have a very oily skin type like myself. I did heavily powder too, so I did do my precautions, and I'm still quite oily. You know, 4 hours in, I'm looking at it and I'm like, okay, I would like to powder it down, but you guys like to see it when I do absolutely no touch-ups, just so we can get a feel for how I would look at the end of the day. What I really want to do though is do one half of the face and no touch-ups, and the other half with slight touch-ups, just to see how many times I do have to touch up, because I think we're all pretty different. Either you like to put your foundation on and forget it, which that's personally me, I tend to forget to powder down, but some of us are a little bit better at remembering to powder. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna take you guys with me to my beauty room. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of the ColourPop Sheer Press Powder in Light with my Morphe Y11 and just set right here, right on the cheek here on my right side, tiny bit up towards the nose, just stopping right here, only to take away the oils on this side so we have a little bit of a comparison. Maybe just a tiny bit right here on the forehead. And nowhere else. The rest is gonna remain shiny on the left side of my face, but this side now has a more matte look. And then I took you back out to my living room so you could really see the difference, because once again, the beauty lights you can't really see. And I mean, look at the shine on this half of the face compared to this side where I set it down now. It does really make a big difference for us oily skin people. I will be keeping track of how many times I do have to touch up. I will touch up a little bit here and there off camera on just this side, just to see how many touch-ups I have to do in order to stay looking matte. But this side is just gonna let the oils come through, and we'll see if I look really overly oily at the end of the day, or if this is as bad as it's gonna get. So let's just go ahead and keep on wearing this foundation. Well, you guys, it's time for the final check-in. It is now 4:21 p.m. So we are a little bit over 8 hours now, about 8.5 hours. And I'm definitely ready to give you guys my final opinion. And I wanted to do the first part of this final check-in in the natural lighting so you could really see how this foundation looks after 8 hours. Oh my gosh, I am a grease ball. Oof. I did have to touch up in between on this half of the face. I did figure out that it's at least every 2 hours that it gets this shiny, where I feel like I need to powder it down because it just gets a little bit out of control. So this side is slightly less oily than this one. This has been the side with absolutely no touch-ups, and oh my gosh, it is difficult out here for us oily skin people. Some foundations just do nothing for the oil control, and I think for me to have to touch up every 2 hours is a little bit excessive. I have foundations where I can make it 7 hours in, and then I will have to do the first touch-up. So I think for me and my very oily skin, this foundation is unfortunately gonna be a no-go. I do think though that if you have less oily skin, maybe slightly combo, verging on drier skin, you guys would really enjoy this, because I think it's a beautiful foundation. If you zoom in on it, I know I'm so oily, I'm so sorry, but absolutely nothing has creased. Even the smile lines look really good. I haven't touched up the smile lines at all. This is the best they have looked. We don't have any caking situation, no texture. So really it's all just the oils. So I think it's just gonna be a no-go for my very oily skin type people. But for the rest of you guys, you may enjoy this one a little bit more than we would, because at this point, I'm just like, ooh, I need to take this off and just wash my face. It's just a little bit too much. And hey, why not just wrap up the video here? I don't even need to go into my beauty room to show you guys anything. So that is gonna be my review on the new PUR 4-in-1 Love Your Selfie foundation. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and hit that little bell button. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.